in the hospital. You have failed to install a management team. Appropriate. They had 3 days, 5 days, 8 days, Dave McCullen, no days in any authoritative position to make that happen. You are double standard. You need to step down using your own rules and criteria. Your own reporting criteria are double standard. Now, I'm going to the fact that the problem with this board is it is a board of one. It is not a town board. It is a board of one. Me, myself, I.
Single voice.
Stevie the iBot. That's where it's going to go. And you're going to hear that a lot from me in the future. You all have a responsibility in our town code to share equal power. He is one of 5 invested with equal power. That's what your book says. You guys, in your book, the next paragraph says that same thing. You are one of 5 of equal power. You need to speak up, because there's another paragraph in there that says your greatest responsibility to this community is to represent us with your votes. Telling us that you have no voice, remaining silent, the silent majority, a bunch of bobbleheads as he does what he does, is not carrying out your responsibilities according to the books that you are abided by the foul.
Here, here.
Now, you asked for Plan B. I want to give you a Plan B. This hospital became a community hospital because this community wanted a hospital and they were willing to accept the risk. So they knew what they were getting into. They knew that if the hospital went into financial problems, they were on the hook because of that. Knock on wood, it never happened. We came 40 years after the hospital was founded. The hospital went through a crisis, a financial crisis. They were going to close it down. What did the community members of this community do? They rallied together. You municipal bonded. And guess what? That municipal bond bailed out the hospital. Who paid that bond back? Not the taxpayers. The hospital operations paid it back.
Yes. Yep.
Not a dime of risk. Yes, the risk was still there, but they accepted it. You know what? We have another risk. We can do a municipal bond again. We can make that part of the asset transfer agreement. Okay? You don't get to decide whether that risk is acceptable or not. You need to put that out to this community and let us decide whether that risk is acceptable to us and whether we wish to proceed and save our hospital.
I know you know who I am. I'm Tina Corcoran. I worked at the hospital for 28.5 years. When I came to the hospital, I was just hired as public relations and soon was given physician recruiting. When I came, we started with 16 doctors on staff. Today we have nearly 50. One of your recent board members that you appointed, which I respect as a doctor, Dr. Maresca, I respect him tremendously. He's done a lot for our community. But you talk about removing these board members who work so many hours, and it was because of fiscal responsibility. For me to get a doctor into our facility, it takes hours, thousands of hours. In fact, Dr. Gaborio, it took us 3 years talking to him. In the last 2 weeks, I've had at least 2 have come to me and more have been approached by Dr. Maresca, who's on our board now, and asking them to come just work straight for Canton Potsdam. How is that helping us financial security?
Well,
Steve,
first,
I'm telling you, they come.
second-hand stories that
You can't say that's. I work there daily, and I work with these babies
Coming to her.
well, when they come themselves and speak, then we'll.
Duty of
Rumors abound. You can't go by rumors.
Give us jokes.
So bring it in. I trust everything out of her
But
mouth.
I'm looking at all of you as board members, and you know how hard it is to bring any professionals, recruit them to this community. I've talked to many of you on this.
It's not a rumor.
We have,
She heard
I have
a physician
4 more
himself.
doctors coming this year. And I want them to still come. In fact, I have to get home by 6:30 to talk to that orthopedic that's supposed to start this summer. Please support our board members, and please reconsider keeping some of them back on our board. They have worked very, very hard to get us where we are. And I know there are financial issues, and we are dealing with them. But I ask you to reconsider this.
Hi, I'm Courtney Kelly. I am a clerk at the surgical office of Massena Memorial Hospital. At our last town board meeting, I had asked you, Mr. O'Shaughnessy, if you could reach out to Kraus and any other possible affiliates to get their plan on what they would do with our hospital. Have you done that?
No.
Why not?
Wow. That's the board manager.
No.
Let her speak.
I asked you to reach out to them because you are the town supervisor. You are the board and have to sign the asset transfer in order for us to affiliate. If you do not make an effort in this process, how do we as employees of the hospital have any faith in what you're doing when you won't take the step forward? Does a bank come to you and offer you a mortgage?
So,
No.
let me get this straight.
So, this is what I'm
You
saying.
don't want me to be involved with the board of managers, and now you do, or what?
I want you to step up.
Hey, stop. This young lady here.
I want you to step up and make it your job to make the best interest, the best decision with the community, the hospital, and everybody involved.
So should we include the board of managers?
Yes, it needs to be a
And
whole.
did you remember when I read that there were 3 meetings that we tried to set up with the board of managers?
And how much notice did they have for those meetings?
They had a week.
Okay, I have 4 children. I cannot plan things in a week. I understand most of you, your children are grown, you don't have sports, you don't have things like that. But just because the board of managers may not have younger children and sports and stuff like that, does not mean they're available at a moment's notice. There needs to be more respect on both sides. It needs to be, you need to communicate.
So, what? I mean, how much
You
time
didn't-
do I give them?
Well, don't do it during
As much as it takes.
We
Holidays,
tried.
give them a month.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I shouldn't have spoken like that.
But my thing is, we want this hospital to succeed, and what we see from you is the only thing you're looking at is the financial picture. Trust me, I get that. I will not be able to afford the tax hike if the taxpayers incur anything that is not covered by the affiliate hospital. My other question is, do you or any of the board members understand the difference between an affiliation, in which Kraus is offering, and a takeover is, from what I understand, CPH has offered?
Well, and I hope everybody can say this without going or something sarcastic. But to this point, neither one has offered anything
Okay,
that I'm aware of.
okay. So either way, neither one has offered any money. So any of the whatever million, billion, whatever that the town owes the hospital, they have not offered a penny.
No, it's not the town owes the hospital.
The hospital owes the town.
The hospital owes its vendors. It owes the town for its pension,
Right.
but it owes all of its vendors.
The hospital's debt.
Right.
So if they have not offered anything, why are we looking at them?
Looking at who?
Well, the only 2 hospitals that I've heard,
Well, and the other thing too is
CPH and Kraus.
you know, I just would like everybody to know that it was Kraus that called me, and then I went down in July and visited with them, and then put them in touch with Ann Gilpin. Canton Potsdam called me, and I went and visited with them and put them in touch with Ann Gilbert. So it's not like they were even part of the original RFP that went out by the Board of Managers.
Okay.
It was something that I did because I received their phone calls. And I asked the Board of Managers to follow up with an affiliation. To this date, we've got no proposals other than we'd like to talk about, and we have a good cultural fit, but there's been no concrete proposal. We are losing money, which may not seem important, and I don't mean to be sarcastic to anybody here, but there is a finite end to what the debt load that the hospital can take on.
Right, we understand that, but we're also looking at,
And there's a sense of urgency that I've tried to express to the Board of Managers. And to this day, we have not been able to get that, this town board. And even though I'm the one that's expressed this urgency and talked to the Board of Managers, it hasn't worked. I mean, you know, you talk about money, but how long can we sustain this? $4.8 million in 2014. Million in 16. Over 7 million for 17, and over 5 million in 18. I mean, it's.
is there a date or time set up for any possible affiliates to make a presentation of what their plan would be for the hospital?
Yes, that's an interesting question.
And how long to get that lined up?
Steve,
March 4th.
As I've been informed that it was supposed to be the 25th.
I sent you an email that I wanted to come to your special meeting to discuss the affiliation, to set up a date in early March for the presentations from both Kraus and Canton Potsdam. That was I put an agenda together and I sent it to each one of you board members. To say that I refused or other board members refused, we were trying to get the answers that you say you want. So don't sit there and let the public think that I have not been responsive to your summons to special meetings when it is the responsibility of the board chair to call an official meeting of the hospital board members. You used to do that with Scott Wilson. You used to pick up the phone and call Scott Wilson and say, hey, I want to have a joint meeting. Yep, I'll call my board member. You've never once, except in late December when you threatened or asked me to resign, you've never once called me and asked me for a special meeting. So that's not the case, people. I wanted to get these presentations together for the board, for the physicians, so that we could all make, so don't sit there and say that, gee, I don't know. I don't have that information. You don't want it because you've already decided.
Yes. You need to step down.
Which would be all right if they were able to make a presentation or a proposal. Have both of them been in and done an evaluation?
Yes, yes. Kraus has been in to do an evaluation, and you know that St. Lawrence Health has done a deep dive into our financials. You were part of the email train that asked these financials to be sent to St. Lawrence Health and Dr. Acker.
Yeah, holy Please, can we be courteous here?
I'm
all
trying.
right, let's not be courteous. But that is not true. While we did ask for those financials to be sent to David Acker, the previous CEO would not send them.
No, that's not true.
That's
They were put
Well,
on,
That's not true.
that's, people, that's not true.
Everything was sent.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
I beg to differ.
It was put on a Google Drive,
Thank
sent
you.
to
Yes.
them, so they could look at it,
It was-
and they didn't look at it.
It wasn't even an eighth of what they had asked for.
Oh, so you didn't get it, or you only got an 8?
And did we
Well,
finish
we
it
didn't
then?
even, we didn't get a deep dive.
I didn't know how much they had.
Yeah.
So,
how would you
I'm
know
sorry.
if they called?
Good
We
question.
got away from your,
So, you didn't step up and take initiative into checking into our affiliates and asking them their plan. What are you gonna do next? Or are you just gonna sit in your office every day? Because I've been told, you sit in your office Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. Any one of us hospital employees or taxpayers can walk into your office and sit down and have a face-to-face conversation.
Yeah.
Is that true?
yeah,
Are you gonna be honest with us? Because I don't ever feel like you're being honest.
I'm sorry I give you that impression. I've got no ulterior motive. I just think that the hospital is about to go under. I'm fairly reliable
Do you
source.
think us as the employees and the ones working our butts off every day, understaffed because we can't get staffing because of everything that's in the papers, don't feel that pressure? We are short clerks. We are short LPNs. I guarantee we're short nurses in the hospital.
Absolutely.
And we can't
So-
get people to come here because all it is bad press and nothing's being done. You have not changed one thing to alter that. Not one thing,
And-
except firing people who are working hard in volunteer positions to try and get us to where we need to be, to where we can get you to sign that asset transfer, and then hope to God that you still, under God's graces, let us do as the Massena Hospital Board sees fit for our hospital, to save our jobs, to save us as taxpayers.
And you kind of confuse me. I mean, some of this, the hospital board of managers is responsible for the day-to-day operation
Right.
of the hospital. They were charged in December 2015 with setting up a private non-for-profit and to look for an affiliate. That's not my job, that's their job.
But your job is to sign the asset transfer?
The asset
And they can't do
transfer,
that.
I will be glad to sign as soon as they fulfill all of the requirements in the December 15 resolution that
If or when that is done, whose choice is it in the affiliate hospital? Is it the town boards or the
it's
hospital
the
boards?
taxpayers of the town of Massena.
So is there gonna be a vote from taxpayers?
That's us.
They are, they can, and there is a choice for a permissive referendum when that happens. If there are people that are unhappy with whatever decision we make, then you're allowed to get a certain number of signatures and have to call for a referendum. Yes.
Let's do it.
Do
Let's
it.
do it.
Yes, sir.
Charlie had something first.
Charlie, go ahead. He's already had it.
My sister-in-law is Carol Fenton, and she's a great woman. I want you to know, I just moved back here a year and a half ago from the political capital of New York State, Albany. I lived there 30 years. I've never seen anything like I've seen since I moved back with your political government. I Googled on a few things, and I think the people in your audience needs to know this. You are aware that it'd be very hard to get you out of office until the next election. But it is possible. You have to contact the Attorney General of New York State and get a form and ask for hearings to be able to remove Mr. O'Shaughnessy. And it sounds like a lot of
I'm just going to speak from here. I just have one quick comment. You wouldn't take Ms. Corcoran's word that she'd heard something from doctors because you said it was hearsay. Then you have the audacity to say you have it from a good, sound authority that the hospital's going down the tubes. You need to bring that person here and unmask them in front of these people so that it can be addressed.
Here, here.
Right?
I mean, these numbers of losses are audited reports from the hospital's audit. You want me to, do you need them read again?
No.
4.8 million?
You know what, with all due respect, I just want to say, we all know
Wait.
that Massena Hospital's in financial trouble. We all know that, but you know what? You know what I'm here for every day? You know what I come to work for every single day? I come here to take care of our community. That's what I do every day, because I care about our community. I've been at that hospital for 18 years, and every single day, we save lives. And that's what it's about. It's not about just the money. It's about us saving lives. And that's what we do. And if you cut the jobs, who's going to save your life when you come in?
Exactly.
I don't mean to be passionate, but with all due respect, I have a father-in-law that has 13 stents. If he has another heart attack, do you think he's going to make it to Canton Potsdam? No, he is not. He is going to die before he gets there. And what happens to the mom that's delivered 4 babies and she's crowning, has to drive 25 miles to another hospital and gives birth on the side of the road and loses her baby to cold stress because she couldn't get to the hospital in time? We need to be here. We need to work together to make sure that Massena Hospital does stay here.
One, I have a question, and then possibly I might have something that might resolve some of the tension and stuff. My question is, I find it hard to believe, Steve, and it's not just tonight that you've mentioned it, but on several occasions, you seem to take more for granted from people that are outside of our community than you do our CFO, who lives in Massena, is a Massena taxpayer. You seem to rely on all these other things without, you don't listen to your own board of managers. You're just like that to fire them. But my comment is, with all the stress that's gone on, just contemplate this with your board and legal counsel, okay? Stop and sit back and think, okay, what would happen if we would say, the last month never happened? You should have it within your power to reinstate probably maybe 3 or 4 of them, maybe all of the other board of manager members that you fired. Get them all on board, and then try working together with the whole damn board from the town and the board of managers. Without, listen to your people that are in your community, the people that you fired. Almost all of those, believe it or not, are Massena taxpayers. They deserve better than they've been treated.
Hi, my name is Gina Snyder. I've been sitting back listening to you for over a year now, okay? And transparency is one thing I'd like to bring up. I've asked you on multiple times questions and you've lied to me. That's transparency. When you repeatedly lie to me when I've been coming here for a year to get to know you better, for you to get to know me better, to help our community, and I ask you a question, you either shut me off, tell me positive comment, or you lie to me. Okay, and when I tell you you lied to me, and even your staff knows that when you say you're audited, our financials are going to be here tomorrow, that's a lie. Okay? When you lie to me, that's transparency. I need to see the truth at all times. When you lie, red flags go up. One thing you need to know about all those numbers that you were whipping off, a loss here, and a loss there. Well, I think the last 2, if we all know how to do math, if you had a $7 million loss, and the next year it was a $5 million loss, is it really a loss? Or did we save $2 million from the prior year? Because I look at it like that. Something going up a little bit better, just a little better, $2 million better. So when you start quoting all these bottom lines and talking about a loss, economic impact, you yourself say it doesn't matter if your airport takes a loss every year. It doesn't matter because the economic impact that it brings in is greater than the loss. Have you done an economic impact study on your airport? Is there one for the hospital? Thank you.
Yeah.
Because you've been asked again and again and again to do an economic impact for your airport. And you haven't. But yet you quote that even if it does take a loss, it's the economic impact that's going to keep it here and keep it going, okay?
Massena Hospital's $85 million annually.
Yeah.
What an astronomical number, and she knows it. Because I get up here and I've been told by your staff that my biggest problem with me coming here is I put you on the spot. You don't know the answers to the questions you were asked that you should know the answers to. Where's my sign? Melanie, has it been too busy for you to do any work on our Massena sign?
No, it has not been too busy, Gina. And matter of fact, I have reached out to some other communities to get ideas and see what companies they use and did a little research on it. But no, it is not. It is still something we are working on.
So Canadians tell me left and right, gee, we drive right on through and we don't even see your Massena sign anymore. They're just going to keep on driving. Sometimes small little efforts, like a Massena sign, is good for economic impact. Okay, first impressions, everything. Just, try working on a little thing and stop looking at these big numbers, like scaring everybody. Loss, loss, loss. Instead, 7 million to 5 million as far as I'm concerned.
Let me answer your comment on the 2017, okay? So 2017, the hospital, excuse my watch is kind of in and out, but 2017 it was reported a $5.6 million loss. Okay, the auditors came back with a change to 7.1 million. Okay, that's 2017. 2018, there was a one-time adjustment of $2.38 million.
Which auditor are you talking about? I don't mean to interrupt you. Your auditor or the hospital's auditor? That's their job, to help them. That's why we call auditors in.
Right.
Can you make sure my numbers are in order?
Let me finish. 2018 would have been an $18 million loss. Not if you discount that one-time adjustment of the MILMAC reimbursement, it would have been $8 million loss. So it goes from $7 million to $8 million, not $2 million better. So
I took this off a Facebook post, which
I know, I'm
is
just
pretty
telling
much
you
what
without
you
the one-time
read.
adjustment, that's what it is.
Gina, can I?
Absolutely, thank you.
Pat, don't see it. The reality is, all this needs to stop. Everything that's going on in the public is really scaring our people. It scares our employees. It scares the patients. We've been following some things that people are wanting to go elsewhere because they don't know what's going to go on in the hospital, all because of this. But you are right, as far as losses go. In 2017, we actually come up with a $7 million loss because we were able to fix some of the past history that wasn't done correctly. In 2018, we did have that adjustment. We also had 485 less admissions, 23% reduction. If you run a business and you lose 23% of your major market piece, what do you think that's going to do? Now, all this scaring at the end of the year that's been going on has really chased people away. We put together plans to be able to try and fix stuff. We bought clinics, we added people for the clinics, but we ended up with less FTEs in 2018 than we actually brought in. So we had a reduction. We had a reduction plan. It's about $3 million of reduction that we actually did. But when you lose that much volume and everything we had done, if we hadn't had that, we would have had a break even. Now, people say we haven't done anything. We've been working on fixing these problems, and we need to continue to fix these problems. I'm a taxpayer. I've lived here for 4 years. I want to live in Massena and retire here. And I'm going to stay here and work the best I can with whatever affiliation we have in order to make this hospital successful. This is too important. $85 million economic impact to this community. If you lost half your jobs, that's $40 million a year you're going to lose in economic impact. We need to pay attention to those things, but we also need to do, like we said, we need to find the money to be able to move to the next steps. And as far as the grants go, only $200 million of the $300 million were given out at the end of the year. We are told by the state that this $300 million that's still left there will be put out to grants people. Now, the Department of Health will not tell us, even if we're in that number, but there's $300 million by May 1st that has to go out to be in grants. If anybody has any way to talk to the governor or being able to get us answers. I would rather have the answers than the money, so we know where we're going. And I will work with whatever we need to do to make this hospital successful. And I've been doing this 44 years. It's not my first rodeo. I've been doing healthcare 44 years. How many other people you know have been doing their jobs for 44 years? So I have seen a lot. I have worked for the largest healthcare corporation in the world, Hospital Corporation of America. I've put together mergers, and I have not been in other places where the places have closed. I was at Adirondack Medical Center where we put 2 hospitals together. I was in HCA when we closed the Med-Surg Hospital and built the psych hospital. I have done a lot of different things in a lot of different places, but we need help. We need to be together. You know, we talk about being together, and then we get out in the public and we put all this that scares the crap out of our people.
Yeah.
And we need to stop doing
I
that.
can't agree with you anymore. Back last February, the hospital board and the town board agreed we would not air this in the public, we would not air this in the media, and that didn't happen.
No, that
It didn't happen. And it started with the hospital board. I don't want to point, I shouldn't even said that, I shouldn't point fingers. I shouldn't point fingers. All right? But I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to tell you what.
It makes no difference.
Last summer, actually last fall, we were told by the temporary CEO, we're going to run out of money. That was December, he said, we're going to run out of money. We're at the $2.3 million. He. All right, we got the $2.3 million. We were told we're going to run out of money in March. Okay, that scared us. We know we need to find money. All right?
We all know.
We know that the grant was applied for in March. It didn't come in, it was supposed to be here in June. It didn't come in June. It was supposed to be here in September. It didn't come in September. It was supposed to be here in November. It didn't come in November. It's supposed to be here at the end of the year. It didn't come the end of the year.
Well, give Cuomo
Hang on, hang on, let me finish.
All with that.
Let me finish. The grant was supposed to be here, right? It was going to be, we asked for 10% of the grant, which covered the whole state. 10% of all these hospitals in the whole state. We were concerned we weren't going to get that money. We were concerned this past fall. We asked what Plan B was. There was no Plan B. We got concerned. We started looking. We tried to look for hospitals to help us out. All right? We're continuing to look. We need somebody who's got money to help us. All right? Otherwise, we're going to run out. All right? Now, let me finish. Who says we're going to get the $300 million grant, we're going to get some more money? Who says that?
We don't know because the Department of Health will not tell us.
Is New York State,
the New York State has said that grant money. Hospital Association
How long
of New
ago was
York
that?
says that.
How long ago was that?
Like a month, less than a month
A
ago.
month ago, okay, all right. So just to let you know, I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
There's $2.3 billion shortfall in New York State.
there is,
We
yes,
know
there
that.
is. Okay, all right. So it looks like right now that these funds will no longer be provided to hospitals or nursing homes. Will be used to help support the general fund.
And that
All right,
was specific to Medicaid reimbursement, not grant, this specific grant.
All right, so this isn't the Fidelis $2 billion
It
money.
is, but it doesn't have anything to do
Well,
with
that's
that
what it says right
specific
here.
grant.
It says that 2017 Fidelis Care sold all of its assets to Centene Corporation. Companies have agreed to pay $2 billion in both direct payments and taxes over the next 5 years. The executive originally intended on using those funds to address collective bargaining and needs for hospitals and nursing homes. These funds will no longer be provided to hospitals and or nursing homes and will be used to help support the general fund.
And that is.
All right, that scares me too.
Well, we can't control
I know
what
we
the
can't.
government.
I know we
does.
can't, but we can't
That
say,
specific
but we
money.
can't sit here.
Now,
and
wait a
for it.
minute, you need to listen to this.
I think you let
That
him finish.
specific money was to increase Medicaid reimbursement, okay? Not grants. These grants are still in play as far as everybody knows, as far as what anybody will tell us. So that in itself is scary enough, a $2.3 billion shortfall in New York State. We can never be assured of anything
No, we can't.
because no one will tell us that.
No, we can't.
So we need to find a way to keep this hospital
Exactly.
going. It's best, whatever it turns out to be, however it needs to be. We need to do something here
We don't.
to make sure that we are still here.
And I
I'm
think
telling you, $85 million net
Wait.
impact that whenever you think about that, whenever you reduce that, it's
can't
gonna
agree
be
with you anymore.
permanent.
I think Carol hit it right on the head when she sent us the email, listening to the physicians, listening to the board of managers. She hit it right on the head. We've got to get both of them in here. We don't need a public presentation. We need both boards to get them in a room together and ask the hard questions.
Well, that's what Carol was doing.
And I completely understand that, and I spoke to Carol, and I support Carol, okay? That's what I think we need to do, and I hope, and I encourage both boards to come together, get both of them in a room, ask them the hard questions. We're not gonna get anywhere if I individually go speak to Mr. Acker or go to Kraus, because I could come back with an answer that you might not like or they might not like. Let's get together, get them in a room together, and I want to hear the questions you ask them, and you should hear the questions I ask them. And then I still believe the people that are removed from this board would make the right decision for the town of Massena. And I've said that over and over, and you can ask both those ladies behind me. I have said that.
Pat, but quite frankly, I need to be in that meeting. As a chief financial officer, I need to be in the meeting.
I support that.
Pat, when we had that
You need
meeting,
the expert there.
when we had, you hit it right on the head. The town board and the hospital board need to come together. When we had that meeting in early January, okay, I came, you were there, Karen?
No.
You were not there, okay. But you were there. And there was I sensed anyway, a spirit of cooperation. That there, instead of tearing apart, okay, because it's taken a long time to get in this financial situation. Okay? But the thing that I was encouraged by listening at that meeting, and we agreed to have other meetings on a fairly regular basis. That didn't work out. But it doesn't mean that it can't work out.
Because
Let me
you
explain something to you.
refused
Yeah.
to let the CFO and the CEO of the hospital, Steve, and I have it in an email from you, you refused to let them come to the meeting.
And
Why?
he told me that himself.
Why?
He told me
Yeah, I
that
saw it.
myself.
I'll come to a meeting if the experts that have knowledge of the subjects.
Makes sense to me.
I'm not here to cause harm, I'm here to help.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think we all are here to help.
Something else needs to be clarified too. It is the hospital board of managers that call the meeting on hospital grounds, it's all by the bylaws.
That's right.
Every time we've reached out to you to have a meeting, no, we don't want to do that, it's gotta be
Nope.
down here.
Yep.
I asked for a roundtable meeting back on, when you first gave me 2 days notice about a meeting on January 2nd, the day that you relieved me. I asked for a roundtable discussion, okay? We ended up having that in front of our board meeting that Al was talking about in January.
Right.
Let's talk about that. Carol has asked for a roundtable meeting. It shouldn't be down here, it should be at the hospital. She's tried to get the physicians there, the town board there, and the current board of managers there. And it doesn't seem to work out because you want everybody to come down here. It's not roundtable, this is not roundtable right now. You're just sitting up there looking down at everybody. Come on now.
On January 4th, we had a round table set up here. That was too inconvenient because it was too close to the holidays, but you were able to make it here on January 2nd, 2 days before.
That's the first time I ever saw the
Excuse me,
round table.
that is very unfair.
It is.
I asked for some coordination the first time I was here, and I don't know what became of that. Then we got a note to come to a meeting, a round table, definitely without Pat or Chuck. And I sent an email to all of you and everybody on the board at the hospital saying that that's why I wouldn't come. You knew it. The doctors have requested what we're all talking about, which is to have some people present. It doesn't have to take a year to do it. If Mr. Acker doesn't want to come, I'm sure Dr. Maresca would be very happy to tell us about it. Oh, no, I'm serious. And why can't we have somebody from the other place? Then we can make a decision.
Right.
I mean,
And
what are we
I agree with you,
waiting
Lenore.
for?
Lenore, I agree with you, and I agree with what everybody's saying here. And I have said this, and I have said this in public.
Yes.
I've said it to certain people that have reached out to me who I have met. And when we met on the 21st, going off what Mr. Nicola said, in that room when the two met, it was agreed upon that these meetings would happen. We understand people can't always come to them. Come to the meeting as the board of managers of the hospital. We may not agree, but we are trying. I was trying. I was. And as far as the media, when we talked in that room on the 21st, I thought I made it said, as myself, speaking as myself, that I would not speak to the media because it gets too much twisted up. That if somebody has something to say to me, come to my face. And I have met with people and discussed it to them to their face. Ask me my questions. I'll try to answer yours. If I don't, but I can try. That's all I can do. And yes, I have been on both sides of the board. And let me tell you what, there was a lot, and I've said this in public before, there was a lot of finger pointing. This board, that board. And I've said before, it's got to stop. And we are trying. And here we are again, back in here, and I feel we're back a little bit, taking 2 steps forward, 2 steps
Well,
back.
we could take 10 steps
Right,
forward
you're
by
right.
having that group
Yep.
and having Pat and
But
Chuck
as
there.
far as being on both sides of the
table,
had that meeting, he let me go.
and I know. Did I?
Then get
People
the
even
ball.
ask me, don't read what you see or hear in the paper.
But the thing is, they're not gonna come individually and ask you.
Yeah.
That's what
I have-
the media is for. You
And I
need
understand
to
that,
make
but
your
I also
voice
feel,
heard.
and I also understand, and sometimes, and this is just me of who I am. I feel sometimes they take your words, and I think it's happened to many on both sides of the boards, and it's twisted a little bit. That's just my opinion.
You know what they say, you can't stand the
They
heat
just
now.
wanna hear what you said.
And I understand that, but I am the type of person where if you want to know something, come to my face.
Okay,
Come
but most
directly
of
to
us
me.
work full
And I
time.
understand
We
that.
can't get
And I
out of it because we don't have
understand
the
that.
staff to cover.
And I understand
We're
that.
not sure we're getting anywhere, Steve.
No, we're not.
I know.
No,
I
we're
have
not.
one last comment or one last question, then I'll sit down, unless somebody wants to ask me a question, which I will always gladly answer. But the reality is, we can't actually create an affiliation, either the town or the hospital, on its own, under the certain circumstances, as basis of law. Eric, is that correct?
The hospital board controls the management by statute of the hospital.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, but the transfer of the assets is done by the town board, okay? So affiliations or a transfer of the assets can be done in a lot of different ways. I don't think I can say categorically that it can't be done, right? But it would be helpful, certainly, if the boards could figure out a way to work together.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. I think that's great. I think we need to do that as a community. I know I haven't lived here all my life, but I moved that far away from here. I really want to retire here, live here. I want to be able to have business here. I want a hospital to take care of me because I'm not so young anymore.
Here, here.
So we need to do what we need to do, which is best for the community. And from an affiliation standpoint, I haven't seen reports either in exactly who's going to do what for us. So I think what Carol was doing is pulling people together to have this discussion, to have it with these potentials, and who knows? I mean, the responsibility in 2017, when the new board was established, their responsibility was to take the affiliations and go out and vet the best affiliation for the community. That was given to them as a responsibility. As far as some of the other things, Steve, you haven't said, some of those things were looked at, reviewed, but not finalized because the money isn't there yet to pay the debt. But that doesn't mean we haven't been working on it.
That's right.
Anybody have anything?
Well, that is my point, is that we asked all the time what you were doing to get rid of that debt. And it was either the grant, and I said, what's plan B if you don't get the grant? And I got this deer in the headlight look, and nobody ever came up
If you want to
with
go back to some of the recommendations and discussions, and maybe Joe can even respond to this. At one point in time, the hospital suggested that the new corporation be able to go out and bond it, and the new corporation will pay it back over 20 years so that we could move down this, and that was in 2016. It's up, we can't bond, you have to bond.
Well,
That was 2016, that was 16. Also 16, there was a $5.8 million grant after that, am I correct? It was $5.8 million in 2016 to pay off the debt as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
we got a grant for 5.8 million. We proposed a grant of about $20 million to do other projects, but we received the 5.8 million. That paid off the outstanding debt. That was.
That would have been a good time to affiliate.
And the resolution
was signed.
the resolution was signed in 2015.
We can't sign the asset transfer without liability.
Did they give you any money for this, the assets they're asking for?
We don't have any money.
Have the taxpayer given the hospital any money for those assets they're asking to transfer?
Never.
So what's the big, sign a piece of paper and give them the stuff that they paid for already? It's easy as that, you owe nothing.
We're getting pretty close to $30 million. $30 million would cost a $100,000 property, $5,500.
When I get fired, can I come to you?
Yes,
I was just told that for a $120,000 house, the tax increase would be $5,000. You're saying $100,000 house would be
Who told you that?
$5,500?
If I find the email here, I can explain the whole thing to you.
Either way, it's not what we're going to be able to report.
I know we're not.
Go Frenchie.
You're going to have a mass exodus from Massena.
You got a hard job to do. You cannot buy a truck without your vote, your vote, your vote, your vote, and your vote. You can say no, but they say yes, and that's the way it goes, right? When you decided to get rid of Sue Beller, did you vote?
No, sir.
Did you vote?
No.
Did you vote?
No.
Did you have any say in it?
No.
And?
Not true.
You had no vote. All of a sudden, you got a $20 million. I'm going to get rid of this lady here. 4 days on the job. Then we bring another lady in. Did you vote?
Nope.
Get rid of her?
No, I did not.
Did you vote to get rid of her? Did you have any say in it?
What do you mean any say in it?
Did you invite? Did you have any say in it?
Sure we talked
Who
about it.
advises
Did you
on
have any say in it? No vote?
What is going on?
It bothers me, Steve, that you get rid of people without consulting your board of how it should be done. You don't buy a truck or a school bus or hire an attorney without some supervision of the system, Sam. Yes.
The previous
I'm
supervisor.
talking. Keep quiet.
All right, I will. I'll give you that respect. I apologize, Frenchie.
No, it's all right. We sent you where we're going to be going March, in the first week of March. And you got rid of her before we even had a chance to form this committee. Did you discuss it with your board before you fired her? It has to be done that way. You have no choice. It's a $20 million budget. It's more budget than you have in your town council. And you don't do it without your council. It has to be. That lady has to be put back on the board.
Yeah, all of
Steve?
Yeah, all of them. Back on.
Steve, I want this lady back on.
Yep.
I like Steve, don't get me wrong. But she's only been on 4 days, and you kicked her off. For God's sake, I can't fix your truck in 4 days sometimes.
They don't break down their Chevys.
How long
Steve,
does it take to train someone?
give her a chance. Give her 6 months. If she doesn't satisfy your need, then get rid of her. And me too. And me too. Because that's basically where I'm going. Because I'll probably get a letter from you tomorrow. If he gets rid of me, have a say-so. Say something.
Speak up.
Speak up.
Frenchie,
Lead us.
Frenchie, I have spoke to the supervisor about my opinion.
But do it in
But
public.
I have no authority of how he appoints or removes anybody. I've expressed my opinion, trust me.
But you can make a motion to keep her. That means one vote Make one vote and one vote, 3 against 2. Who wins?
According to the legal counsel, we can't do that because he has
Is that right?
he has authority to do that. We can't, none of us four can stop that. It's his authority.
I agree with you.
You guys all know that, so we're going down wrong.
Can I ask a question, please?
Lyda was next, she was next.
I just have one comment.
And Karen has two, I couldn't see with the.
Anyway,
Can I
Steve?
ask, young lady?
No, that's anything, so you can finish. Then Karen, then Clyde.
Think about it one more time
Okay.
before 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Because that's when your decision is going to be made. I think, and I would probably discuss it with your board tonight to enlighten you or give you some ideas. You've heard everybody tonight.
Yeah.
But I think it's time, what we did and what we didn't do, it's time to unite for $21 million. And that lady has it down pat with different hospitals to come in and talk. And you're going to be involved in it, right to your eyeballs.
My name is Karen Wilkins, and I am a retired employee of Massena Hospital, but still currently on the per diem work list. And it's because I'm on the per diem work list that my expertise is still of benefit to the hospital. So I have 2 comments. One is, financially, we are having some difficulty. We've been having difficulty. But look where we've come from in the last 3 to 4 years. We have expanded our services to include many specialty services that we never had before. We have specialty services that have been with us here repeatedly more than 2 years and don't just leave after 2 years because we're going someplace else to work. We have people that are invested in this hospital, they are invested in our community, and they want to stay in this community. So we have spent money to keep our other interns, instead of flying the coop and going up the road, we have kept them here and kept our hospital with the admissions that we do have, by helping them out and by taking on their ownership or their practice. We have done it to one of our other physicians. We have helped him with his practice. We have done that financially. We have brought in hospitalists that are now providing 24-hour physician immediately at your bedside care that we didn't before. It was always just the nurses. I don't mean just the nurses, please excuse that girl and guys. It was always the nurses that were the eyes and ears on the patient. Then had to beep them, wait 20 minutes for them to return your call, then have them decide whether they're going to come and see the patient, who's coding, mind you, and leaving it up to the ER doctor to come upstairs and take care of the patient in the code situation, who is trying to take care of the MVA that just came in, who also might be on call for go to OB and deliver that baby that's up there that was prematurely precipitated out of the mom's womb. What are we doing? We as a unit fought with the health department when they wanted to close us. It was the town board, the hospital board, all the employees together. We rallied, we fought, we joined Haney's, we did everything we could, and we survived that. We have to stop this bickering amongst ourselves and join together as a force. And I'm sorry, but having been on 2 boards that I can say right now, the boards are made up strategically being voted in at different intervals so that everyone can join in and gain expertise, get their training. I had to go to Albany for training to be a board member. You know, our board members that are just newly appointed haven't had that chance to even do any of that training, how to be a board member, your fiduciary responsibility to be a board member, what it is to the legal right, and making sure that you have a responsibility to sit in that seat that you have been elected to or appointed to. Please don't do that. I'm just saying, if you appointed 6 new people to a board that have never sat on a board, don't know anything about your facility because they never worked there, or what little they have worked there, God forbid, we have one that has been working there and knows all the ins and outs, and has a medical background with it. We have let go people that have worked on that board that know all our ins and outs, our quality of care, our our financial stuff. They know all those things, and now you're appointing new people that we're gonna have to start all over again? And how are we supposed to do this within a time frame in order to survive? We can't do it. Appoint those people back in with your so-called new buddies you want to have in. Put them all together and let's make an informed consent, informed decision. Because that's what healthcare is all about. Informing your patient, letting them know what it's all about so they can make the best decision of where the hell they want to go. Because right now, they ain't going to want to come to Massena because we ain't informing each other.
I just have one comment concerning the CFO. I personally messaged you, Mr. O'Shaughnessy, about including Mr. Facto into these meetings, and your comment to me was, I don't need him.
Really?
That's exactly what you told me.
That's
exactly disgusting. It's not. You need to step down.
Hear, hear.
You are the reason the hospital is hurting. You are the problem.
You don't know healthcare.
You know nothing about healthcare.
He does.
Here, here. Anybody else?
Depends, will you let me go again?
When we were doing it, when Karen was speaking, and then I said Clyde, and then I said Andy, and I'm not trying to tell people what, but Andy had his hand up after Clyde, and just to keep it.
I have one burning question right now. I have more for later, but the one I wanted to get out right now. Is there anything precluding, and I guess this is a question for Eric, because he's the legal guy here. Is there anything precluding the councilors from making a motion to pass a local law, hold a public hearing, go through all the process that would require a vote from the board to appoint or remove hospital board members? Is there anything precluding them passing a local law?
Yeah.
Money. Off the top of my head. So there's the process that governs that is the municipal home rule law. And because there's a state statute already, I don't think that the local board can override that state statute. Right? I mean, it's kind of a off-the-cuff answer, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
Pretty sure?
Yeah, pretty sure. The municipal home rule law allows the local municipalities to do things where the state hasn't already acted, or to make under certain statutes the states have given the local authorities. The zoning is the prime example, the ability to set their own standard. But I don't think with this that you'd have the ability to do that.
Thank you.
Steve, can you give Cheryl 6 months under your belt to keep her going?
We want her back. Please. We want our board members back.
And Carol. We do want our board members.
We want all of our board members back.
So, look, you and I have known each other for a long time. You work for the Power Authority, I work for the Seaway. We've served on committees together post 9/11 to develop security plans for if the tunnel had to be closed and other issues we were dealing with at that time. I know this has been difficult for both of us, and this is not pleasant, but in my career, I learned the most from people that didn't agree with me, but from people who disagreed with me. And I've always dealt with those people with, I hope, the respect due them and due their opinion. I've worked with a lot of different people, and I think we can work together, Steve. I really want to work